never seen anything like this in my entire life.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. If past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior, then Donald Wells ought to be prime suspect material in this case. Do you agree? In fact, it's not at all far-fetched to suggest Donald may have been hiding in the shed when Chris McDonough visited the property. Why? Because Donald has done it before. Don's been a fugitive of justice before, with the FBI and Tennessee Highway Patrol both hunting high and low for him. Now, I'm not saying he was hiding in the shed when Chris McDonough went there. If his vehicle wasn't there, you can expect him not to have been there. I'm just saying it wouldn't have been strange or weird to think that Don may have been hiding away because he's done it before. Now we're going to go into this aspect of Donald's criminal history in this episode. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment. If the comments are disabled, head on to Twitter and use the hashtag SummerWells. Okay, and let's get started. Now, the law often relies on precedent when it comes to deciding legal issues. What that means is, rather than examining every case individually, when the basic merits of a case correspond to another case, in other words, where there is legal intertextuality, then legal transcripts can be applied interchangeably. Well, don't worry if that doesn't make too much sense. What it basically means is precedent is a good predictor of human behavior, of how one can respond in a similar way each time. And what you or anyone else has done in the past, good or bad, well, it's reasonable to assume you'll do it again, right? So how does this apply to Summer Wells? Well, lest we forget, just a week after Summer disappeared, Wavy.com posted the following information online under the headline. It was dated the 22nd of June. What happened to 5-year-old Summer Wells? What we know 1 week since she went missing in Tennessee. And then near the end of the article, quite easy to miss if you weren't paying attention, the following is stated regarding Summer's father, Don Wells. Quote, another warrant states the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Tennessee Highway Patrol had also responded to the Wells home on August 13, 2001, where the residence was searched and Wells was found hiding in a storage room. Wells was arrested for a parole violation out of Utah and charged with being a fugitive from justice. Now, the part that I'm going to highlight here is that Summer's father, it's quite a long time ago, about 20 years ago, but nevertheless, was hiding in a storage room in his own home from the authorities, right? So it's something that he has done before. He was also charged with being a fugitive, right? Now, what do we call it when someone runs away from the law and hides from the cops? What's that? Would you say it's being honest? Would you say it's cooperating with law enforcement? What do you think? Now, let's go back to the article. Here's another quote. Another arrest warrant obtained states a Hawkins County deputy had responded October 14, 2020 to the home where Donald Wells lived with his wife and 4 children, including Summer on Ben Hill Road in Rogersville, for a report of a domestic assault. Wells was arrested and booked into the Hawkins County Jail on multiple charges. So he was actually arrested for that and booked, right? On multiple charges, including domestic assault, possession of a handgun while under the influence, and unlawful possession of a weapon, right? So those multiple charges suggest Don's criminal past isn't a thing of the distant past. This warrant was issued less than a year ago, and it involves violence, intoxication, and a deadly weapon. If you actually pay attention to one of the news reports, you actually hear that Donald struck someone and I think she injured her knee.
Wells allegedly argued with the person and pushed Bly down, injuring her left knee.
Now that audio comes from WJHL, and what actually happened that prompted this fierce response from Don was that he thought that Candace was cheating on him. Now one wonders, on June 15th, did he have reason to believe the same thing? Did Donald wonder whether Candace was cheating on him then? And what if she was? And what if Summer could have been a witness to that? What if it was necessary to make sure that Summer couldn't have been a witness to that, in the sense of, if something was happening, she needed to be sedated, she needed to sleep through whatever those events were. Does that make sense? So that part is to some extent speculation, but it's speculation based on what we know about Don's past. And now we go to an additional point. What if everyone's prayers were answered right now and Summer was found right now? What then? What do you think would happen? What do you think, if Summer was found right now, the next step would be? Well, who do you think would be charged? Certainly the circumstances surrounding Summer would come into play. So one would get a sense of where she is, such as, where she's found. More specifically, the distance from the Wells home to Summer herself. The closer that distance, the more suspicion would turn to a member of her own family. Does that make sense? But let's say there was no obvious sign of anything and the distance didn't really tell you anything either way. The only thing that was really, I guess, obvious would be that Summer was no longer alive. I think many of us would assume that that is a reasonable assumption, as sad and tragic and unfortunate as that is. What would happen then? Well, the investigation would probably revert to the circumstances that we did know, when she was last seen and the person who was last with her, and who was that? And has her story stood up to scrutiny thus far? Not only was Candace the last to see Summer, we also have video evidence proving as much. And the very last footage we have of Summer isn't of a little girl active and ambulant, smiling and happy. She's not moving. She's passive. She's inert. Summer's silent. The last photo may turn out to be the most inculpatory evidence in this case. Mark my words. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.